Hello! Welcome to part 2 of my tutorial on visualizing GIS information in Tableau. In part 1 we talked about a few basic principles in GIS, namely when to use a map in your visualization, the differences between raster and vector data, and coordinate reference systems. In part 2 we'll discuss some of Tableau's more out-of-the-box capabilities for map making and map generating. First, we will review the kinds of entities, both numbers and string data, that Tableau is able to recognize as geographical, and show how to generate a basic map from data on an Excel spreadsheet. We will go over how to edit connections so a typo or error in data entry doesn't ruin an entire data set. We will also take a look at some of the background map styles in Tableau and how to connect to Mapbox and WMS servers to incorporate some neat custom-made background maps into a presentation. Finally, we will review how to incorporate Tableau's built-in data layers from the US Census Bureau into a presentation. Let's open an Excel spreadsheet. In the back end of your desktop Tableau software is a tremendous quantity of vector data, which allows Tableau to automatically generate maps for all kinds of geographical and political entities the world round. This feature is most advanced for maps inside the United States, where Tableau can recognize and generate maps for airports, area codes, core-based statistical areas and metropolitan statistical areas, cities, most cities over 1,000 people, congressional districts, counties, states, provinces, and zip codes. Tableau will be able to spot city names and zip code numbers in your data and immediately plot them onto a background map, generating shapefiles for them. Admittedly, its capabilities are more advanced in the United States, Canada, and Europe, where it can generate many different kinds of maps based on political and social divides. But it does a fair job in other parts of the world too. Tableau is able to recognize and project the 130 most populous cities in Uzbekistan, for example, along with its dozen airports and shapefiles of 14 provinces. The point is, Tableau searches your data, recognizes geographical entities, and can generate maps for most of them. That's pretty impressive. This Excel file I have open is from the sample Superstore data, which comes from Tableau as a practice data set, good for learning, tinkering, and experiments. There are 4 geographical entities here that Tableau recognizes: country, that is the United States, city, state, and postal code. Let's open Tableau, connect to the status source, and get started. Here I am on Tableau. I'm going to connect to a file, in this case a Microsoft Excel document. I'll go to Desktop, Sample Superstore. Notice in the Data Source tab, I can already see that Tableau has identified some of my data as being geographical in nature. See, here it is marked with a little globe. It does this automatically, both for place names, such as the United States or the city names of Henderson, this is string data, or for numbers, like the postal code, which is just a 5-digit number, but Tableau is still able to recognize that this refers to a postal code in the United States and not some other kind of quantitative data. If I click on the little globe, I see that this is string data, and I can edit what geographical role it plays. Most of the time you won't need to do this at all, but here I can see all the different geographical roles that this particular data column could play. Now I'll go into sheet 1 and drag, and if I drag say state, where's state, and postal codes, onto the map, I can see that Tableau has automatically generated point data and shape files for things in my data set. I can remove state, for instance. I'll change the marks to map, and it'll show little polygons representing postal code regions within the United States in my data set. If I drag state back in to the marks tab and cities, I'll have point data for all the cities in my particular data set. Now, let's say I remove postal code, I remove cities, and just have state. Okay, so here I have states, and it's showing that one is unknown. I can go here to edit locations. I could also filter the data out and see what's going on. So what it looks like is there was a typo in my initial data set. So the O is missing in Florida. It's showing as unrecognized. Now, this could be really aggravating if I was working for a major company, say, and didn't have any real control or editing privileges over the data set that I was trying to visualize. This could set me back. I'd have to wait till somebody corrected the typo, refresh the data set, and then hopefully that would fix it. Here I can just assign a matching location. So let's see, this is probably Florida. Okay, and there the null warning indicator goes away. Now I'm going to remove states and put cities back in. See here it says 353 unknown. This is just an example. That's kind of scary looking. If I click on the edit locations again, it'll show that many of them are ambiguous. So that means that Tableau didn't know how to project them because there are multiple acrons, for example, in the United States. Tableau didn't know where to put the point data. I can manually add latitude and longitude coordinates if I wanted to. That would be kind of a pain for all 353 of these, but it can be done, and this can also be useful if your data set includes smaller cities and towns that Tableau may not recognize, although it has to be pretty small for Tableau not to know where it is. In this case, however, Tableau just needs a little more context. I can drag states into the detail section of the Marks tab, and Tableau instantly knows that it's Akron, Ohio that we're talking about, and not, say, Akron, Colorado, or Akron, Alabama. So that clears things up a bit. States, all those unknowns disappear. Now, let's take a look at the basic out-of-the-box background maps that Tableau lets you add to your display. I go up here to Maps, go here to Background Maps, and I can see all the different options. There's normal, there's dark for high contrast presentations, there's a satellite feature as well. There are 8 basic map types that you can add to your data visualization, and some of them are quite attractive. Note that some, like this satellite feature here, require an internet connection to display properly. As of 2019, Tableau has partnered with Mapbox to present users with a wide array of out-of-the-box background maps, map types, and map layers, including extremely high-resolution satellite imaging, which allows people to see, but not interact with, the natural and man-made features of a landscape at an extremely high level of detail. Mapbox also regularly updates all the background maps which appear in Tableau, so if something changes, you can be sure that Tableau's background maps will reflect that change. If I select Map Options in the toolbar, or Map Layers, excuse me, I can make even more adjustments. I can show borders of countries. I can show locations of major cities. Note that this changes on at different levels of zoom. So I can make all kinds of adjustments to the layers of this particular map. Choose what I want to see and what I don't want to see. If I select Map Layers from the toolbar, Tableau lets me modify the background map in any way that I want. Note that Tableau does not treat these map layers as data layers, so they can only be displayed or hidden and not really interacted with. One final feature available in the United States is the ability to customize a map by adding data layers taken from the 2018 American Community Survey, or from the U.S. Census Bureau. Let's go here to data layers. I can add by population, and I can choose different levels of granularity. Here it is by median age. I can show it by county, and it projects a county map of the United States with age coded And I can choose even the way it's color coded. So I can choose a diverging or a sequential color scheme. I can filter it according to all these different data variables by race, or by occupation, by household size, by income. This is the data layer feature in Tableau is useful if you want to add an extra dimension to your visualization and explore relationships beyond your data and the demographic and economic information compiled by the Census Bureau. Of course, this feature is only available for data visualizations within the United States, obviously, because the U.S. Census Bureau only collects data about the United States, but it's handy to have. And it's an easy way to add an extra layer of data variables to a visualization and explore relationships between, say, demographics or income and your data. Now, as we've seen, there's a lot you can do with Tableau's out-of-the-box background maps, but maybe you want to do something a little different. And there are many ways in Tableau for you to connect to other background maps. The easiest way is to use a web map service protocol. All you have to do is enter your URL and you're good. Go here, you go to background maps, add WMS maps. It's going to ask for a URL. Now here I'm going to go to the United States Geological Survey site. I'm going to look for the map that I want. In this case, I'm looking for a land cover map, say a canopy. It opens an XML file. I'm going to go down to Get. I'm going to copy it, paste it into my URL, and it will load for me. And here I have information about canopy coverage within the United States. Probably not particularly applicable to my data set, which is about sales, but if I was presenting on ecological data, this would be very useful. It would tell me a great deal about the forest cover, the percentage of forest cover in different parts of the United States. And of course, again, it only really applies to the US because and not even to all of Alaska, because this is a map that's created by the United States Geological Survey. I can also use Tableau to connect to a custom Mapbox map. Mapbox markets itself as a kind of Photoshop for maps, and you can create all kinds of incredible map styles using Mapbox. You can control and edit all kinds of details in the Mapbox map that you simply can't in Tableau. So if you have a very particular style you're going for and a lot of time, you can create it. There's all kinds of artistic options, all kinds of things you can control. So I'm going to go to my Mapbox account. I'm going to go to Studio. I'm going to go to this map called Minimo by Nat Slaughter. It's a map that I like particularly. I'm going to go to Share. I'm going to copy this link right here. I'm going to go to Map, Background Maps, add Mapbox map, enter style name, Minimo. What's going on? Sorry. Now I'll enter my URL and it'll pull it up. Mapbox has a lot of extra map styles that are free to play around with. I particularly like this style. It's very understated and in my opinion very beautiful. It reminds me of old fantasy maps. All I have to do is create a name and copy and paste the link with my API token and it'll display for me. So if I have a particular style of map that I really want that Tableau doesn't have access to, I can just go and get it and connect with it. And it's very easy for me to use them in my data visualizations. So these are some of the things that you can do to customize the appearance of your map and what you want to show, what you want to leave out. In our next video, we'll talk a little bit more about how you can create a data visualization using maps in Tableau.